long while ago, there was a game released called Bad Rats. And for a while, it was shunned, mocked by the public at large. A lot of people hated it. But there was a few select people who could see the true glory in this wonderful, wonderful game. And a couple years back, some of us came together and started a Discord server on the worship of this absolutely brilliant game. And we just called it Bad Rats. It was populated by a bunch of people who came from all sorts of different walks of life. But the thing that drew us together was the game. The place was founded by Dr. Irrational, who I guess started the whole operation. I love the community. I quickly grew fond of the people in it. And I guess the peak of the original server, of course, was on April Fool's Day of, when was that? That must have been 2017, yeah. You know, Biggie Cheese gave power to someone called John Jay. John Jay was kind of already a popular member of the community. Like, he'd been, talking, and he'd been joking about wanting owner. So for April Fool's Day, as, sort of like to, I guess, put that joke in action, he was given power. Once he got into power, John Jay immediately, disrupted everything. Like, he stopped the rat worship. He tried to turn it into a Peter Griffin server, if I recall, immediately, like within the first couple hours. So that's kind of when we knew we'd made a mistake. He gave himself the title of King DDD from the Kirby series, of course, and tried to ban anyone talking about Kirby. And he actually went through with it. Anyone that he saw as a Kirby supporter was out of there. By the third day, he had banned like a bunch of people, or at least removed them from power. So like half the mod team was normal users. So we were like, okay, well, we got to put a stop to this. We made a DM group, maybe 8 people. We'd had enough, and we wanted to take down his tyranny. Secret plans were formed. I was one of the members. Karma was one of them. Gracie or Carl was another. Several people. We came to the conclusion that the original server was too far gone at this point. It had been too damaged, and that we needed to begin again. And so we were trying to ask John Jay about his time zone, so we would figure out kind of when he'd be asleep, and we figured it out. He was in the UK, so we had to stay up really late since all of us were in the States. But we did it. Once he was asleep, we went in. Karma still had administrator, so with that power, he gave all of us, we dubbed ourselves the Ratvolutionaries, he gave all of us administrator, and we just went to town. We deleted every channel except for the main channel. Back in April of 2017, there was still symbols that Discord did not like. You could kind of stack text really high. If you put a bunch of it in one message, it would crash Discord. So it was, pretty, when spammed, it was a very effective raid tool. We just flooded the main chat with that, 8 people all doing it. We sent an invite to everyone we could to a new server that we had made, also called Bad Rats. We structured it much like the old server, and I was owner of that. I created that one. We sent an invite to everyone before kicking them from the old server. Once people started to catch what was going on, it was too late. Like, we had essentially just nuked the place. There was only one channel left, and when you open that channel, Discord might freeze. So it was pretty unusable. So a lot of the mod team was not too pleased. They immediately tried to get rid of us all. I became sort of a martyr as I was kicked really early on, and there was a divide whether or not to support Rev or to go against him. It took most of the day to convince a lot of people, but once we got people like Irrational on board and a lot of the old mod team, as well as just a lot of the user base, we had successfully moved over to the new Discord. John Jay was not permitted to enter, and we started again. And immediately after this, I think it was April 5th, the day the new server really got started. It was insane. It was like a golden age, man. Yeah. I gave ownership back to Irrational. We agreed the power should stay in the hands of the original creator, and in turn, he made me the Rat Hand Man of the whole operation. It's where I gained my title that I still have today of the Reverend Rat. And yeah, from there we grew. A lot of influential people joined in the early days of that server, like Void and Mouse. And yeah, we grew and grew, had a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's not a whole lot to tell from there. It's just sort of like.
Thing, how you say that? The hero rats.
Oh yeah. The Apopo charity. Yes. Yeah. How could I forget that? Yeah. So a couple months into the new server, someone found a charity that would help people using rats that were trained to do certain jobs. A couple of them were like landmine sniffing rats that were brought out to, disarm still live landmines from old war zones. A few of them were trained to sniff out tuberculosis samples in countries where the equipment maybe wasn't as good for detecting tuberculosis. And so we decided, like, well, hey, we're a rat loving Discord, like we could participate in this charity. It'd be great. Could help people out. And so gathering a bunch of funds from a ton of people throughout the server, we managed to pool together around $80 and adopt a rat named Shewa, who was trained to, he was one of the tuberculosis sniffing rats. And he would, so any samples that they thought the machine might have incorrectly diagnosed, he would sniff the samples, and sometimes he would detect tuberculosis, and he was trained to press a little button or something like that whenever he detected it, and in return he got food. So Chewa actually ended up, throughout the course of the year that we had adopted him from, Chewa saved well over 100 lives. The figure is approximate, but we know at least a base total of dozens.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I did not expect that this Discord would go on to literally save people's lives, but it was an awesome moment for everyone involved, even for the people that couldn't pitch in anything. It cemented how tight of a community we had, and just how great Bad Rats can really be.